One day, in the lush gardens of the royal palace, Prince Siddhartha walked with his cousin Devdatta, who had brought his bow and arrows with him. The garden was a serene haven, with birds chirping and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Suddenly, Devdatta noticed a swan soaring high above them. His eyes lit up with excitement. "Watch, cousin," he said, taking aim with his bow. "I will bring down that swan with a single shot." Siddhartha, observing the swan's graceful flight, felt a sense of unease. "Devdatta, why harm such a harmless creature? It is enjoying its flight, just as we enjoy our walk." Devdatta, focused on his target, released the arrow. It whistled through the air and pierced the swan's body. The poor creature, hit mid-flight, fell from the sky with a pained cry. Both boys ran towards where the swan had fallen. Siddhartha, with his heart pounding, reached the injured bird first. He saw its eyes filled with fear and pain. Gently, he pulled out the arrow from the wing and found some cool leaves nearby. Crushing them, he applied their juice to the wound to stop the bleeding and stroked the frightened swan, whispering soothing words. Devdatta arrived, out of breath, and demanded, "Give me my bird. I shot it down." Siddhartha, still tending to the swan, replied calmly, "It is not right to claim something that you have hurt. This swan is in pain, and it needs care, not another wound. But I am the one who brought it down. It is mine by right," Devdatta argued, his voice tinged with anger. Siddhartha looked up, his eyes reflecting a deep sense of compassion. "No, Devdatta. If you had killed it, perhaps it could have been yours. But now, since it is only wounded, it is my duty to care for it." Unable to reach an agreement, the two boys decided to take the matter to the king's court. The royal counselors gathered, their faces etched with wisdom and experience, ready to hear the case. Devdatta presented his argument first. "I claim this swan because my arrow brought it down. It is the hunter's prize," he stated firmly. Siddhartha then spoke, his voice steady and serene. "But is it just to claim a life merely because you have the power to harm it? I believe we are meant to protect and heal, not to hurt and claim ownership." The counselors debated among themselves, their voices a murmur in the grand hall. The king, observing the proceedings, finally turned to his wisest ministers for their judgment. After a thoughtful discussion, the wise ministers declared, "A life must belong to the one who tries to save it. A life cannot belong to one who is only trying to destroy it. Therefore, the wounded swan by right belongs to Siddhartha." Devdatta, however, remained stubborn in his claim. He refused to accept the decision, his face flushed with frustration. Seeing the unresolved tension, one of the wisest judges proposed a solution. "Let us place the swan between Siddhartha and Devdatta, at an equal distance. The one to whom the swan goes will be its rightful guardian." The court agreed, and the swan was gently placed on the ground in the middle of the spacious hall. Everyone in the court watched in silence. Siddhartha and Devdatta stood at a distance from each other, their gazes fixed on the swan. The bird, still weak, looked around, its eyes flickering between the two boys. Then, slowly, with a noticeable effort, the swan began to walk. It took small, tentative steps, its gaze lingering on Siddhartha, who watched with a gentle, welcoming expression. Gradually, the swan moved closer to Siddhartha, drawn to the safety and compassion he radiated. The court watched in awe as the swan finally reached Siddhartha and nestled at his feet. Siddhartha knelt down, offering his hand to the bird, which responded with a soft coo, as if in gratitude. The king, witnessing this, declared, "The swan has chosen its protector. Siddhartha shall be its guardian." Devdatta, seeing this unfold, felt a mixture of envy and confusion. "How did you do that, Siddhartha? Why did the swan choose you?" Siddhartha, with the swan now cradled gently in his arms, turned to Devdatta and said, "It is not about doing, but about being." The swan felt safe and cared for. All creatures seek compassion and kindness, Devdatta. When we offer these freely, we connect with the world in a way that goes beyond words and actions. Devdatta, though still not fully convinced, began to ponder Siddhartha's words. There was a wisdom in them that he could not ignore. In the days that followed, Siddhartha cared for the swan, tending to its wound and ensuring its recovery. The swan, growing stronger each day, soon became a familiar sight in the royal gardens, often seen by Siddhartha's side. Through this experience, Siddhartha's understanding of life and compassion deepened. He realized that every action, every decision, impacts the world around us. This understanding would later become a cornerstone in his journey towards enlightenment. For Devdatta, the incident was a lesson that lingered in his mind. He began to see things in a different light, understanding that true strength lay not in dominance or possession, but in compassion and the ability to heal. The story of the swan spread throughout the kingdom, becoming a tale of wisdom and compassion. It served as a reminder that every life, no matter how small or fragile, deserves care and respect. It was a lesson not just for Siddhartha and Devdatta, but for everyone in the kingdom, echoing through the ages as a timeless parable of empathy and understanding. In the tranquil gardens where the incident first occurred, the swan lived on, a symbol of the gentle power of compassion, and a testament to Siddhartha's profound connection with all living beings. This connection, nurtured in the royal gardens, would later guide Siddhartha on his path to becoming the Buddha, the enlightened one, whose teachings on compassion and kindness would resonate across centuries. The swan's recovery became a source of joy for all who witnessed it. Children would come to the gardens, watching in fascination as the swan glided gracefully across the pond, its feathers glistening in the sunlight. They would listen intently as Siddhartha shared stories and lessons about the natural world and the importance of living in harmony with it. Siddhartha often reflected on the incident with the swan. It reinforced his belief in the sanctity of all life forms. He spoke to the children, every creature has its role in the tapestry of life. We must learn to respect and cherish them, for in doing so, we respect and cherish the world we live in. His words had a profound impact on those who heard them. They began to view the world around them with new eyes, recognizing the interconnectedness of all living beings. The people of the kingdom started to treat animals with greater kindness and consideration, understanding that every act of compassion contributes to a more harmonious world. As for the swan, it became a beloved figure in the gardens, a living embodiment of the lesson it had helped teach. People would often see Siddhartha sitting beside the pond, the swan close by, both of them in peaceful coexistence. It was a sight that brought a sense of calm and tranquility to the royal gardens. This simple yet profound incident in Siddhartha's youth was a precursor to the profound teachings he would later impart to the world. His early display of empathy and understanding towards the swan was a glimpse of the great spiritual leader he was destined to become. Years passed, and Siddhartha continued on his path of self-discovery and enlightenment. The lesson of the swan remained with him, a constant reminder of the importance of compassion and empathy in a world often marked by suffering and strife. The story of the swan and the prince became a cherished tale, passed down through generations as a testament to the power of kindness and the profound impact it can have on the world. It served as an inspiration to many, encouraging them to live with a greater sense of compassion and empathy towards all beings. In the end, the swan not only found a protector in Siddhartha but also became a teacher in its own right, showing the way to a life of compassion and harmony with all forms of life. And Siddhartha, in his journey towards enlightenment, carried the lesson of the swan in his heart, spreading its message of love and kindness wherever he went. Thus, the story of the swan and Prince Siddhartha remains a timeless parable, echoing the enduring values of compassion, empathy, and the respect for all life, principles that continue to guide and inspire countless souls on their journey towards understanding and peace.